We'll begin with the first session, which is Basics of Tomography Map Reading. So without further ado, I'll call Dr. Sujata Mohan. Ma'am, Basics of Tomography Map Reading.
Are you able to see it?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Good afternoon, everybody. At the outset, I'd like to thank Dr. Devesh Shetty for making me the opening batsman for this Indian Pentacam League. So what is tomography? Just to have a difference between a topography and a tomography. Topography, actually what it looks at the surface, whereas tomography looks at the cross-section of the different sections of the body that we're studying. So when you look at the approach to a patient who needs refractive surgery, it's important that we decide on which are the maps that we're going to follow and to have a repetitive examination so that you will form, your mind will start registering what is the right map and what is the left, what is not good. So it is just like looking at the cut surface of a cabbage. Person who's been cutting the cabbage will know this is a red cabbage, but for a person who has not done any of this, it just might be a geometrical design. So the maps that I normally look for is a 4-map refractive, which contains 4 maps in itself: the pachymetric map, the refractive map, and the Bellin-Ambrosius map. The fallacy in the curvature map is based on a reference axis, and if you have a decentered apex, it can cause the abnormal steepening to look, and this is probably one of the biggest fallacies in using only anterior topography map. And this can lead to the normal maps may look abnormal. This is like taking a look at a shuttlecock ball as an end-on view as well, versus the side view, and hence the need for elevation maps. So when these are the 4 maps that I'm referring to, it contains the anterior sagittal curvature map, the front elevation, back elevation, and the pachymetry map. It also has the corneal parameters on the left-hand side. It tells us about the quality of the picture it has been taken, the K reading, the astigmatism of the map, the pachymetry at the center of the pupil, the center of the cornea, the thinnest point, the maximum K, which is also important, and anterior chamber depth, which could be important, particularly if you're planning for a phakic intraocular lens. On the right side, it has a KK prediction index and also the pupil coordinates. When you look at the yes, hello. Hello, when you look at the anterior sagittal map, you can see this map is with the rule astigmatism, symmetrical, both the axes are radial to each other, and there is no asymmetry at the 5 millimeter zone. Whereas this map, you can see there is an inferior steepening, and also a little bit of skewing. And there is again this other map, which is just coming up now, which shows a significant skewing. So the important thing is for you to keep on looking at these maps so that you recognize if there is even a little bit of abnormality. So these are the different types of map that you can get on the anterior sagittal curvature. So when you look at the elevation maps, it describes the height of a surface in comparison to a reference surface. For example, here you can see the sea, and on top of it, the iceberg, and the reference surface being the sea. So the reference surface that we use commonly in refractive surgery is a best fit sphere. There are some people who prefer the best fit toric ellipsoid. However, the reason why I prefer best fit sphere because it is able to identify the cone much earlier than a best fit toric ellipsoid. And any point above the reference is expressed as a plus value. The red color dome represents the best fit sphere, and the yellow line outline represents a cornea. And any elevation above the best fit sphere comes out as a plus, and any depression below is minus. It's important to look at the numbers rather than the color-coded maps, because in some of these it can be reversed. And the elevation maps also calculate the difference between the reference body, which is generated by the computer, which could be a best fit sphere or a best fit toric ellipsoid. The importance of using a best fit sphere is because a best fit toric ellipsoid can mask the cone, and so most of the refractive surgeons prefer the BFS. And the ideal diameter is usually 8 millimeters. And this is again a representation showing how the steep and the flat meridian do. And the enhanced display actually does exclude a 3.5 millimeter zone of the thinnest cornea, so that the best fit sphere again changes, the reference surface again changes based on the exclusion, and you're able to identify the cone in a better fashion. So looking at these 4 maps, you can see this is a 16-year-old female who came to us with slightly blurred vision. This looks like a decent map, except that she has a steep cornea of 51.9, but the thinnest pachy was 572. The anterior and the posterior elevation look pretty good. But when you look at the refractive map, you can see that the indices show up as the keratoconus grade 1. And the Bellin-Ambrosio map, you can see that definitely there is some abnormality. The first two maps on the top are the standard elevation maps, which are based on the Bestford sphere of the cornea. And after exclusion, you get this map called the exclusion maps. And you can see that the areas are now popping up strongly. You can see that the plus signs have gone up, which shows that once you exclude the thinnest area and you create another Bestford sphere, you're able to see the cone much better. And you can see the difference between the float here is 5.5 and it's become flatter here, it's become 5.53. And then this difference map, it has got only 3 colors, the green being normal, yellow being suspicious, and the red being definitely abnormal. It also shows indices here, which gives the same idea. So this is again the map of the other eye. You can see the abnormality. You can see the posterior elevation coming up. You can also see the increase in pachymetry at the CTSP. So next is the pachymetric evaluation map. You can see that the corneal thickness is shown at the apex, the thinnest point, the location of the thinnest point is also seen. And also you can see these two graphs which represent the corneal thickness spatial profile, which enables early identification of an ectatic disease. So here we all know that the thinnest point of the cornea is in the center, and as it goes towards the periphery, it becomes thicker. But however, in ectatic disease, the thickness increases rapidly. And this red line belongs to the patient, and you can see that the thickness has increased quite significantly, as well as the percentage thickness increase. So this is again some of the parameters. You can see the thinnest area of the cornea. You can see the inferior temporal location and the distance between the apex and the thin location, which gives us the difference. So any difference higher than 1.2 is significant. So this is the other pachymetric map, which I already explained, the corneal thickness spatial profile and the percentage of thickness increase. You can see a significant increase in the as the line goes peripheral, and it does not follow the normative data. These are some of the indices which can be got at the refractive map. And case 2 is a 32-year-old male, and he had a high sphere and a slightly less cylinder. And you can see that most of the maps are normal except for the CTSP. There is a definite drop in the CTSP here. And Kmax is 47.2. And these two, there are some parameters which are abnormal here as well, but this patient probably can have either a surface procedure or he can go for a phakic intraocular lens. This patient came to us referred as a keratoconus patient, and you can see that inferior steepening. This is the right eye, the left eye was normal, and other maps were perfectly normal. So when you looked at the slit lamp of this patient, you could see that there's some amount of epithelial irregularity as well as staining, which showed that the patient had, on questioning, had recurrent corneal erosions and formation of epithelial cysts. And you can see that the thickness of the anterior segment OCT map showing 71 microns corresponding to the area of steepening. So this is again a patient, young patient who was only 20 years old and came to us with just a normal refraction in the right eye, and the left eye was plano, but she was complaining of some sort of discomfort, not happy with her vision. And you can see that this, again, the tongue-shaped elevation pattern rising at the posterior elevation. And in the right eye, you can see a significant posterior elevation changes, which is actually not picked up in the previous map. You can just see a slight amount of steepening and very minimal asymmetry. So this shows the importance, and this is also seen in the left eye. And this shows the importance of having a tomography rather than a topography alone. And refractive map is a very simple map. It has just got 3 parameters and also the indices. And this, just in one glance, it will let you know what if the patient has any abnormality. And this patient has a post-LASIK ectasia. You can also look at the comparison maps. For example, this is a map which has shown the difference between the pre and post topo-guided PRK. These maps are also helpful for planning intacts, as you can see, looking at the posterior float as well as anterior portion. And this is again a comparison map. So summarizing, elevation-based tomography has been in use for more than a decade and has given us a better understanding of the corneal parameters, particularly in planning refractive surgery. So early detection of the ectatic disorders and early management has shown us better outcomes. And thank you. It's just an overview of tomography, corneal tomography.